And we are live, guys. Welcome to the Men of High Value channel, your channel for understanding the woman and the world of relationships. Today we will talk about family backgrounds. My name is Joseph Darling and we are live here every single day out of Oslo, Norway. And as always, if you like the information you're getting here, if you want to become an expert on relationships, press the like button, subscribe, and also the little bell button to always stay up to date on the movement. Here's some of my background. I was born in Switzerland, moved to Norway when I was 5, and grew up rather close to the main capital, Oslo. Family has always been an important aspect of my life, although these days I'm more prioritizing my immediate family of wife and kids. Providing for 3 kids is not easy. And especially not since our choice of lifestyle includes my wife not working outside the home and me being an entrepreneur. But we wouldn't want it any other way. I must say, I sure do miss my siblings and my parents a lot at times as well. I'm the youngest of 8 kids, and my parents are both alive and well and have remained together all these years. I'm so proud of them, and they want to see their grandkids more often. So we'll make sure of that when we move to our next house in a couple of weeks. They raised me very well, in my opinion, and they have always done everything that they possibly could for us all to have a fantastic life. From the bottom of my heart, I am eternally grateful. Though not obvious to them, as they did the best that they could, my background made me very feminine. If you go back to my first 3 videos on this channel, Effectively Repelling Girls Who Love You, you will realize how feminine I used to be compared to now. Back then, I would somehow manage to get girls to fall in love with me from using my performance arts talents, developing lots of options, and then being scarce by living long distance away. And then when we became an item, they would slowly but surely realize how much I needed them, how much my life revolved around them, and how intense my emotions were, i.e. me being a girl, and they would slip away. I had no idea about this back then. I first learned about this merely 5 years ago, and every day I'm progressing towards masculinity and becoming a man of high value. And it's not something that happens overnight when you've been conditioned to certain behaviors for over 25 years. Just like you, my femininity originates from my family background. Before she met my father, my mother had grown up very disciplined in an all-girl private school in London for ballerinas. She grew up as a dancer and eventually became an actress. She's a very beautiful woman. My father had grown up in Norway and became very interested in the arts as well, and eventually became a film producer. When my parents met on a beautiful Sunday morning at church, they had 2 things in common. They had a strong belief in God, and they were both in the arts. My father fell in love quicker than my mother did, but eventually they connected and they formed a life together. Working in the arts, unless you have reached the very top in that community, will always be hard financially. Although my father did make a big Norwegian feature film at one point, named Love is War, in the 1970s, he quickly got squeezed out of that community because of politics. Trying to live on a very low income and sometimes no income at all would be hard for any family, but how about a family of 10? Remember, I was the youngest of 8 siblings, and the financial burden of that many people depending on you for food on the table and a roof over your heads would be massive. I don't know how they managed, but they somehow did. All during this time, we were raised believing in God and going to church every single Sunday. That was 3 hours every single Sunday. And getting all the kids dressed and transporting us back and forth at times for 2 hours to get from there where we lived to getting to church. Though it was a strong community of members, it required a lot from my parents. One of the aspects of church was the encouragement to have many kids. My parents both loved kids and obviously did their fair share. And wow, am I grateful that they didn't stop at 7 kids. I always think if they had stopped at 7, I wouldn't be here. So thank you, Mom and Dad. But at the same time, being that many did affect me, and it did affect my siblings too. There was little to no individual time with your parents, and each of us would sometimes get lost in the crowd. That's just how it is. My parents did such a wonderful job with all of us. They did the best that they could with what they had. And for that, I'm very, very grateful. But have you heard the saying, all families are dysfunctional? Well, our family was not an exception to that rule. Though, what they accomplished while having so many of us is astonishing, to say the least. I'm just stating the facts. There were a lot of heartache, emotional issues, arguing, accidents, sickness, and the list goes on and on. The circumstances of life had a burdening effect on my mother, and my father was spreading himself too thin as well. And that is what caused all those things. As a result, the kids grew up being heavily burdened, but all trying to do their best. I was the youngest, so there were a lot of issues that were never revealed to me. I was sheltered for good reason, but somehow even I was burdened enough to become quite feminine myself. Have you ever thought about your family background? Have you ever stopped to think if that has any relation to who you are today? If that has any relation to your emotional stability and capacity for discipline? Does your family background have any relation to your current relationships and how well things are going in that department? I can tell you right now that your family background has everything to do with you being feminine or masculine. But your past does not equal your future. It is what you do from now on, after following and subscribing to this channel, that is going to make the difference to your life and the life of your future generations. Like, subscribe, and make it go viral. My name is Joseph Darling, and this is the Men of High Value channel, and I will see you again tomorrow.